G'day guys and welcome to ReDriven. Now look, you are probably aware of this, but there's a bit of a battle going on between two camps, and it's the battle for off-road supremacy between Toyota and Nissan. Okay, look, yes, Jeep, Land Rover, Suzuki, Ford, they all try to get in on the act, but let's be honest, it's really between Toyota and Nissan. That's the battle that really counts. In the Toyota camp, you have the iconic Land Cruiser, but for Nissan, you've got this, the Patrol. Now, the Patrol nameplate has been around since Elvis was winning Best New Talent Awards, and they've got an incredibly dedicated and loyal fan base. But now that these GU or Y61 Patrols are getting pretty bloody old, are they actually any good? Are they worthy of the fan base? How have they stood the test of time? What goes wrong with them? What do they like to live with every day? And most importantly, should you buy one? Let's find out. Now, before we get deep into the Patrol, can you please do us a favour and hit those like, subscribe and bell icon buttons? And hey, why not go and follow us on all the socials as well? The Patrol first appeared way back in 1951, and this, the fifth generation Y61 or GU Patrol, was introduced late in 1997, and it lasted until 2016, wrapping up with the Legend Edition. Now, that's nearly 20 years of the same series. That's amazing. Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, with the GU Patrol being around for that many years, it's been available in a host of different trim levels with different engine and transmission configurations and different accessories and whatnot. And look, we'd love to go into every graphic detail that we possibly can on this video, but that would just take hours. But we have done that, and we've put it in our handy ReDriven cheat sheets. Our cheat sheets are invaluable as they provide a full breakdown of the car's model range, its common problems, what you need to look out for before you hand over your hard-earned cash, how much of that cash you should be handing over, and so much more. Check it out in the link below. Now, in this video, we will be focusing on the Australian variants of the Series 4 GU Patrol, but if you're not from Australia, don't freak out because everything we're going over should relate to Patrols in your local market. And also, even though we're focusing on the Series 4, because the GU was around for so long, again, most of the impressions we're going over should relate to pretty much every series of Patrol. Also, as you can probably tell, this Patrol isn't exactly standard, but let's be honest, most Patrols aren't standard. Now, we decided to review this particular Patrol because while it is drenched in aftermarket gear, it does have over 275,000 kilometres on it. It has been thoroughly cared for, but thoroughly used. And we just feel that it's a good representation of that balance between purpose-built off-roader, long-distance tourer, and potential daily driver. Basically, it will give a good indication of how a Patrol handles many years of serious use. So, does it look good? Well, it looks big and menacing. Personally, I love the way these look. It looks like something that the United Nations would use to go and save kids from some hellhole part of the world. I love them. But what do you think? Let us know in the comment section below. Do you like the way the Patrol looks? By 2004, the GU had been on sale for several years, and it was in need of a freshen up. Aesthetically, the Series 4 provided that facelift with the majority of its exterior panels being tweaked to give a more modern look and feel. Okay, quality issues and what to watch out for. There are some reports of some patchy paintwork on these Patrols, but again, it's not a common problem as such. On this particular one, none of those dramas. This thing gets some serious work off-road, and like there's some signs of some minor scratching, and the paint could definitely do with a polish. There's a couple of little, tiny little rust spots popping up, but that's all easily fixed stuff. All the panel gaps are absolutely precise. For how much use this thing gets off-road, body-wise, bloody superb. A few scratches and dents are to be expected with how old these are getting, but have a good look around and most importantly underneath for signs of dodgy repair work, major impacts with the scenery, water damage, and any build-up of dust, sand or dirt. Look, there are some specific things you do need to watch out for if you are in the market for a 4x4, hence why we've made the Ultimate 4x4 Buyer's Guide. The link is just up there. Go watch that. Not now, after this. Now, rust isn't a common issue with these things, but if the one you've been looking at has spent some time on the beach or even in the desert, then it's got wet after it's been covered in dust, go over it with a fine-tooth comb to find any signs of rust because that can get nasty. Not a common issue, but be aware. Also, if the Patrol you're looking at has any aftermarket accessories fitted, which chances are it will have, it's a Patrol, make sure they've been fitted and installed correctly and professionally. So, how's the interior? Well, like the exterior, the Series 4 received a bit of a refresh. So, new dashboard, new seats, new console, new trim. But it is aging. It's in that early noughties kind of design aspect where it's not old enough to be cool yet, but it's not new enough to be cool either. Size and layout wise, It's a big old truck, you know, it's not enormous, it's not like Hummer large or anything. It's a good size, it's quite spacious, good glass house. It's like the perfect size adventure vehicle. This particular Patrol has always had seat covers fitted, but even without seat covers, these seats, they do wear pretty well, unless they've been, you know, obviously abused. Seating position wise, really nice. They're quite comfortable, good on a long trip. Yay for the seats. As far as wear and tear for the rest of the interior goes, it's starting to feel a bit old. Like all the paintwork on this kind of center console is feeling a bit shabby. Down here on the door handles, that's getting a bit nasty. All the touch points, it's just feeling a bit old. There's a few dodgy rattles and stuff here. Steering wheel, it's getting a little bit shiny, but not too bad. Look, it is an adventure vehicle. It feels like it has been an adventure vehicle. It'd just be nice if it wore a bit nicer than this. As far as common problems and issues goes, there are reports of the interior light flickering or flashing. It's actually pretty easily fixed. It just requires a rubber mallet making a pretty hefty impact with the loop that shuts the rear doors, and then it should be solved. Also, there are reports of the instrument cluster like failing, or just individual instruments failing. If you're pretty handy with auto electronics, you know, have a go yourself because it's not that hard to fix, but if you're not, make sure you get it to a qualified mechanic or auto electrician. But the biggest issue when it comes to wear and tear are the reports of the dashboards like blistering and bubbling. This is purely a cosmetic issue, but it does look bloody gross. The best fix is to get a whole new dash, or you can have the dodgy dash wrapped or reupholstered. Also, make sure you check around the floor and the lower door cards for any signs of water damage. Like, these things can plough through creeks pretty easily, but they don't like sitting in the ocean or a lake or a river. Okay, the back seat. Look, I'm 0.00101 of a nautical mile tall, and this is in my driving position. And even with this accessory backpack on the back of the seat, there's still a good amount of space. Good amount of knee room, decent amount of foot room. The glass house feels quite airy and spacious. Loads of headroom. A couple of grab handles, which is really, really handy. It's nice, seat's quite comfy. There's no real armrest or anything, but yeah, it's nice in here. Wear and tear, it's a bit like the front. It is starting to feel a little bit shabby, like some of the scratches on the plastics aren't all that great, and it is feeling a little bit old. And fabric on the seats, again, they're covered in seat covers, so that helps them out, but it's okay. It's an adventure truck. It shouldn't be all pristine and luxurious. So how's the tech? Well, look, the tech changed and was updated during the Patrol's 20-year lifespan, and all of it was pretty crap. Later series Patrols received sat-nav, reversing camera, Bluetooth connectivity, but forget Apple CarPlay or any real modern tech. Oh, also, the standard stereos were always pretty bloody horrible. Our tip is to do what this owner has done and fit an aftermarket unit. Driving tech is pretty much non-existent. Later model Patrols did receive cruise control and some other features. All of the details are in our cheat sheets, but what you get will depend on what year, trim model, and series Patrol you're looking at. Also, if the Patrol you're looking at, like this one, is fitted with aftermarket gear, push every button. Make sure that all of the accessories actually work. So how's the practicality? It's excellent. As you can see, this owner has fitted a fridge, a bunch of drawers, and a whole heap of other things. So with nothing in the back, loads of space. But the problem is these things come as a 7-seater as standard, and when you have all 7 seats in place, there's not actually a whole lot of storage in the back. Get rid of the seats button. Yeah, this is actually quite cozy. I feel like a little cat up here. Have a nap. Practicality wise, it's okay. Even without the seat covers, you do get mat pockets. It has got an ashtray for those that are disgusting. This thing's fantastic. I don't know who makes this, but if you've got one of these, you should get it because all of a sudden, loads of practicality. Besides that, there's nowhere for cups. It's weird that you've got somewhere to put your disgusting cigarettes, but nowhere for hydration. And practicality up front, there's a spot for your sunnies up here. There's a cool little hidey hole section under a trapdoor there. There's a spot above the infotainment system that's perfectly sized for your phone if you want to have it horizontally for maps, or vertically if you want to check your Instagram updates, which you shouldn't do when you're driving. That's very dangerous. There's a little padded section here. There's an ashtray here if you're filthy and disgusting. There's another spot for your phone just here, which is pretty cool, doesn't slide anywhere. It's got a massive center console bin, that's huge, with different levels. Has an okay sized glove box, and it has door pockets, but the door pocket profile is quite low, so if you've got a tall drink bottle, it can fall out and roll under the pedals. So what goes wrong with these? Well, look, Patrols have a fantastic reputation when it comes to mechanicals and the oily bits, but I'm not a mechanic, so I'm not qualified to talk about the oily bits, but Jim is.
GU Patrols, they do have some petrol engines, but we're just going to ignore them. They're pretty shit. And there's not many around, and most of them have been pulled out and diesels put in by now anyway. With the diesels, the RD28, the ZD30 and the TD42 and the TD42 Turbo, all of them seem to suffer from the same type of problems. Overfueling, overboosting, overheating is the big one, and they can all end up in catastrophic engine failures. A lot of the overheating problems can be avoided by not restricting airflow to the radiator. You put big bull bars on the front and winches and lights, and it all restricts airflow to the radiator, and that makes the overheating problem much worse. If they're well set up and they've got a good service history and a catch can, they really can go forever. If it hasn't been badly modified, the steering and the suspension, the driveline, the electrics, they're all pretty good. And just watch out for shitty mods and crappy accessories.
So is it safe? Well, it's bloody huge, so as long as you hit something much smaller than you should be okay. But in all seriousness, the GU Patrol does lack in a lot of the safety features and technology that we're now taking for granted. Also, when it was last tested for an ANCAP safety rating, way back in 2011, it only received 3 stars. Dual front airbags and anti-lock brakes were standard, but electronic stability control, or ESC, didn't become standard until December of 2011, and side curtain airbags were only available on some variants. Now, before we get deep into these driving impressions, this particular Patrol, as you can tell, is drenched in aftermarket goodies, especially when it comes to tyres, brakes and suspension. Also, there's a fair bit of extra weight in it because of the accessories, and those things do need to be taken into account when it does come to these driving impressions. Also, we'd love nothing more than to take this thing deep off-road to show you just how capable it is off-road, but this isn't our car. We're in the middle of Sydney, and there's already thousands of hours of patrols dominating the terrain in the wilderness on YouTube, so watch them. But trust us, this thing, when it comes to off-road, incredible. But what's it like to drive on-road? Well, okay, first up, vision is excellent. Like, this is a big unit of a thing, but it's really easy to judge all the parameters, like knowing where the front is. Even when reversing, there's no parking sensors, there's no parking camera, but it's not too hard to judge. It actually, yeah. Vision-wise, excellent. Okay, ride quality and handling. Okay, yes, it is on some really schmick aftermarket suspension, but this thing is lovely. It's smooth, it doesn't wallow around in corners too much, it soaks up bumps easily. Fantastic suspension. Okay, the steering, look, it's weighted really nicely. It's super vague. There's not a lot of communication between the wheel and the tyres, but that's kind of to be expected. But the ratio of the steering is hard to judge through corners and when you're parking in tight spots in metro areas. Again, you get used to it, but yeah, I feel like you've got to do like a million turns to go anywhere, and then you're not really sure what trajectory you're going to take anyway. Now, this particular Patrol is powered by the ancient but legendary TD42 Ti intercooled turbo diesel engine, and power is nice. Like, it's smooth and really refined. The only reason they really phased this thing out was because it had no hope of meeting emissions or fuel economy targets, but it's a lovely engine. Yeah, like this, it has such like a smooth and linear power delivery. It just wafts along, effortless. It's not powerful. Obviously, it's not a performance car, but for what this thing is, really impressed. Okay, brakes. Okay, on this one, little sketchy. Like, you know you're braking, but it doesn't brake anywhere near as hard as you'd think, and you've got to give it a fair bit of middle pedal to actually come to a stop. It's not unsafe, and you would get used to it, but it doesn't exactly fill you with confidence. Now for things to watch out for. When you're test driving one, make sure you listen for any whining sounds from the turbo, and when you do give it a bit of beans, look for any black smoke coming from the exhaust. This one, clean as. Also, if it's a manual gearbox, just listen for any weird metallic and, again, whining noises, and especially listen for any crunching between the third to second gear change, because the synchros have a habit of getting a bit dodgy. Older Patrols with an automatic gearbox can have a bit of a weird vibration, and it's probably from the tail shaft being out of balance. Also, some of the older Patrols can have cracks in the spring mountings, especially at the front, so just listen for any squeaks or rattles coming from the front end on your test drive. Look, even when these things were brand new, they were miles behind when it came to driver tech and driving dynamics and even design. But I don't really care. Like, yes, it's a big old lug of a thing to drive, but I just feel like all of that adds to the charm and theatre of this car. I don't know if I could have one of these as the one and only daily driver, especially around Sydney. It can get a little bit sketchy, but all the compromises that you have in the metropolitan areas just make so much sense when you get them out on the open road or go adventuring in the bush. Now, with these things existing for nearly 20 years, the pricing varies enormously. At the lower end of the spectrum, you're going to be paying around about $5,000 for an early model, really tired condition Patrol that requires some serious TLC. At the other end of the spectrum, you're going to be parting with nearly $60,000 for, say, a low kilometre 2016 one in perfect condition. Something like this, which is a 2005 ST loaded with accessories, but over 250,000 Ks, but with a great service history and in good condition, even it's going to range from 30 to 50 grand. The pricing really does fluctuate that much. Nissan's claimed fuel consumption ranges from 11 to 16 litres per 100 kilometres depending on the age of the vehicle, which trim level, engine, transmission, what coloured pants you're wearing. This particular one's claimed at 11.6 litres per 100 Ks, but let's be honest, that's near impossible. On this test, we're seeing figures over 15. Nissan offered a 3-year, 100,000 kilometre warranty on all GU Patrols, which is obviously now completely expired. And as far as servicing goes, we recommend getting these things serviced every 3 months or 5,000 Ks. As far as parts and labour go, look, neither should cost you too much. Parts-wise, there are plenty of parts out there and they've got a great support network. And as far as labour goes, they're pretty easy to work on, so it shouldn't cost you too much. So, should you buy one? Look, it's a yes, but it's a yes with conditions. Engine-wise, if you want a solid workhorse of a Patrol, stick with the 4.2 litre TD42 Ti intercooled turbo diesel, as in this example. But finding a Patrol with the lowest mileage, most recently built ZD30 common rail diesel within your budget would also be a good way to go. But avoid early ZD30s at all costs. They can blow up. Check the body for any major signs of abuse, make sure it has a solid service history, and try to get one like this with some awesome aftermarket accessories fitted and you'll have yourself one hell of a truck. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and hey, what did you think of the Patrol? Let us know in the comments section below. And remember, can you please hit those like, subscribe and bell icon buttons and go and follow us on all the socials as well. See you next time. Now look, you're probably aware of this, but there's a bit of it's gonna be one of those days, Sam. This Patrol should give it, basically this Patrol should give it, come on, here we go. Basically this Patrol should get, all right, here we go. Basically, this Patrol should good. Series 4 received a massive reissue. Here we go. It's in that weird, early noughties point. This particular Patrol. What the hell was that? Driving tech is pretty much close to non-existent. Later series Patrols did receive things like cruise control and all the features. Come on, Morris. Okay.